So my niece came over the other day and she was asking me a lot of questions around, the amount of money that she's going to get the opportunity to make as a management information systems major. She's on her way to the University of Oklahoma and she's going to study management information systems. I think I've made a couple videos talking about my experience with coaching my niece into making the best financial decision regarding her university experience. At one point in time, she wanted to be a political science major and go to school to be a lawyer. But I asked a simple question of, what are you going to do with a political science degree in between you going to law school? And she didn't have any sort of answer. And I said, do you know that you can become a business major with, some skills in IT and also go back and become a lawyer as well? So I just encouraged her to look at other options out there. And one of the options that she looked at was management information systems, and she's been thrilled since then. So what I'm going to do in this video is just do somewhat of a recap of the conversation that I had with my niece, giving her a career progression of how I was able to consistently make over $300,000 a year. I am Antoine Wade, founder and CEO of Black Heights, where we train, coach, and mentor you to climb the ladder, making over six figures in the IT space. I am also a consistent six-figure earner in the IT sector. And guys, welcome back to the Black Heights channel, where we talk about all things related to the skill development in the IT sector. Now, before we get to the video, guys, do me a stone cold favor and stump that like button, as it helps us grow the channel. And guys, I'm going to just walk through this, so bear with me in this video today. It's going to be quite a long video because I'm going to talk about my first job all the way into the job that I have now and the things that I'm doing now, but I'll try to speed it up as much as possible. So my first job that I've ever had in my life was working at a restaurant called Biddy Banquet in Orangeburg, South Carolina. I was 13 years old, and I just remember that I was getting paid about $3.75 an hour. The crazy thing is, the minimum wage at that point in time was $4.75, but I was getting paid $3.75 because I wasn't on the books, and the manager was paying me cash in this little small brown envelope every single Friday. And my job was just to wash dishes and bust tape. That was my first experience into working for money. Needless to say, I didn't last there very long because at the end of the shift, when we're closing up, apparently the restaurant was robbed so many times that the manager and store owner or restaurant owner had me doing walks around the building to make sure that there wasn't anybody contemplating on robbing the restaurant. And me being 13 years old, I felt like my health, my life was being jeopardized by some adult by having a 13-year-old put himself at risk to stop a robbery. The good thing is I didn't stay there very long, and the restaurant was never ever robbed while I was doing my walks around that place. But I told the manager and the owner that I would never do that, and I shouldn't be doing that. And he said, if you're not going to do that, you shouldn't be working here. So I ended up getting fired. And from that point on, I ended up working at a convenience store where my mother worked at that point in time, doing some nightly cleanup and stocking shelves of the soda machines, and cleaning the bathroom and mopping the floors on a nightly basis. And I was getting paid a little over $4 at that point in time. I was over the age to work, and I was on the company books because I just remember getting a W-2 at that point in time and having to file for taxes. Didn't enjoy that sort of work because it was laborious, but I did it, right? To make some extra money, to drive around in a car and go to high school parties and to buy sodas and salt and vinegar chips. I then moved to Madison, Wisconsin. My mother moved us for a job opportunity to work in Madison, Wisconsin. And I didn't work my junior year, but going into my senior year, I ended up working at a grocery store called Woodman's. And if you are in the Midwest, you would know what a Woodman's is. It's basically a huge grocery chain that's in the Midwest that, provides customers with great products at a decent price. And I ended up working there bagging groceries, making a time and a half. It was a little over, I think the minimum wage was a little over $5.75 at that point in time, to where I was ended up making around $9 with time and a half, or close to $10. So it was a good amount of money. I had gas money. My mom gave me her car and she bought a new car. And so, I'm riding around the city with gas money, able to go to Wendy's, buy myself a nice little Frosty and some chicken nuggets, right? And I decided to go to college after graduating high school, and I left the state of Wisconsin and went to Florida and didn't work that entire time. And I ended up having to come back to Wisconsin the following year because I wasn't able to get in-state tuition or get Florida residency because my father left Florida at that time when he was actually supposed to stay there. Long story short, he ended up leaving and I wasn't able to get in-state tuition. Ended up coming back to Wisconsin and going to school at University of Wisconsin, Milwaukee. And I applied for jobs that entire summer and ended up getting a job at a company called Menards. And I talk about Menards quite often as well. And just to give you guys a basic understanding of what Menards is basically a hardware store. It's a competitor to Lowe's and Home Depot, and it's a fantastic store, a place that people come on a daily basis to buy items and tools and things like that for their home do-it-yourself projects and your big projects, and contractors come to do stuff for building houses and things like that. And I got an opportunity to work in the hardware department doing things like customer service. When a customer would come in, they would ask a question and I would walk them back to the product that they're looking for or the area that they're looking for. I would never ever point, because that's not the Menards way. You would walk somebody to the area, the general area, or the exact area, and show them where to go or where to buy, or give them information about the product and stuff like that. So it was basically a customer service role, a sales role, a relationship building role, and a very detailed oriented role, because I had to stock the shelves, and you had to have your nails all the way at the front of the shelf, and you had to have everything lined up behind it. So those are the details that I learned as part of that job. And I just remember at that point in time making a good amount of money. I was making over $10 an hour, close to probably about $15 an hour, because I was working on the weekends. The only time I would actually be able to work, because I had to commute from Milwaukee all the way to Madison on the weekends that I had to work. And I was making a good amount of money. But I realized that commute was too long and I was spending a lot of money on gas. So I asked the manager to be able to transfer to a store in Milwaukee. And the distance between Madison and Milwaukee is about an hour drive. But again, when you're spending money on gas on the weekends going back and forth for a job, when you're not making a lot of money, it just doesn't make sense. So I asked for a transfer, and this is where I learned, and having a good personal brand is always going to give you an opportunity. I was a standout employee at Menards, and when I asked the store manager if I can potentially transfer to a location in Milwaukee, they looked at me and said, absolutely, Antoine, you're in school, you're a great worker, you're great with the customers, we love the work that you do for us, you're so respectful, and all this other stuff, right? So of course they granted me the transfer, and I transferred to a store location in Brown Deer, Milwaukee. And I started working in a new group under a new manager, and that reputation came with me as well too. Ended up meeting a lot of friends. The manager of the department at that point in time became a good friend of mine. He became a big brother, mentored me, coached me, and I stayed in that role all the way up into going into my senior year of college. Going into my senior year, I had to quit my job and take an unpaid internship to get IT experience. And I quit my job at Menards, making good money. I mean, like, if I would have, stayed there, I would have been making close to maybe $30,000 a year. But that was not my goal in life. And I did the unpaid internship, making no money at all, got evicted from my apartment. just had to suck it up and do it. And I applied to Kohl's corporate headquarters, and I got the job there. End up making, at that point in time, close to $19 an hour as a senior in college. I already had my job lined up at that point in time. They were going to potentially offer me a full-time role by the time I graduated. That would have equated to about $40,000 a year. I was still not satisfied with that salary, and I wanted to be in a career to be able to make six figures. Another thing about the Kohl's role was that it was a help desk role, and it was an entry-level role. I was a management information systems major with a computer science minor, right? So I naturally wanted to be an engineer or a product developer in code and stuff like that. And this job just wasn't going to allow me to be able to do that in that role. So ended up taking a role with another company by the time that I graduated, making about $48,000 a year as a software engineer. And I continued to progress from $48,000 a year all the way up to $96,000 a year as an engineer. This was a combination of promotions and things like that, working at the same exact company. And I realized at that point in time that, hey, I'm close to six figures. Well, in order for you really to make six figures, you have to be in some sort of leadership management role, sales role, or things like that. And I end up going into a management role with the same company, leading the support organization, leading a team of about 36, and was making close to $120,000 a year. And then I got promoted again, became a director, and was making $140,000 a year. And then I didn't see the opportunity to go beyond that. And that's when I decided to go back to school for my MBA, because I know that there is an opportunity to make more money than $140,000 a year. And that's a good salary for a lot of people. But when you're at that salary and you know that there's more, then why not get the opportunity to make more? And the way how you make more is getting into the VP titles, the senior vice president titles, the C-suite titles, and things like that. So went back and got my MBA. Before I graduated, ended up signing with a company that was going to pay me $168,000 a year, and I accepted that company and that offer. And I am still with that company today, and I've since grown my base to around $174,000 a year from a base salary perspective. But one of the biggest things that I learned, you can't be in a role that's not revenue generating if you want to make a lot more than, your standard six figures, right? $140,000 a year, $160,000 a year, $170,000 a year. So I went into sales, and that's when I learned that there's a ginormous amount of money that you can make when you go in sales, because you are not only getting a base salary, but you're getting paid on commissions on large transaction numbers. And I was able to consistently over the last, 3 years make above $300,000 a year just in my W-2 job, right? And that's how I was able to do it, with consistency, with being able to apply the same principles of what do I need to do, how do I need to do it. I'm going to deliver to that throughout my career, and have been successful at having a salary, being a corporate man of over $300,000 a year. I'm on pace right now, just from my corporate role, to make over $500,000 a year this year itself. And that's not including my investments. That's not including my real estate business. That's not including, Black Heights, my coaching business. So once you consistently can make, over six figures, you have to figure out in your life, like, what are some other ways that you can continue to make money while you are still working a W-2. And that's what I've been able to do by diversifying my time, being very good at what I currently do as a professional, and leveraging those skills that I've learned along the way to put my interest and my skills that I've learned to make more money on other areas, from real estate to Black Heights to investments and things like that, guys. So I am a person that looks just like you, who's learned a lot. I've, struggled. I've been fired before. I've been told no multiple times. I've had to do some of the most craziest things, such as travel, for 260 or 78 days out of a year. I've done it all, and there are a lot of learning lessons that I can share with you. But one thing that I would always say is this: persistence is key. Continue to learn. And when you get an opportunity, take it. Yes, you're not going to know everything, but apply your ability to learn and your passion to learn, and you will be able to figure it out. I had no idea that I would be a good person at sales, but I know I am a person that's persistent, and I'm never ever going to quit on myself because I have belief in myself. And that's what I've been able to do consistently as a sales professional in the IT space to earn me a salary of over $300,000 a year. So that's what I shared with my niece the other day, and I felt that I can share that with you all to encourage you that as a management information systems major, you can make millions of dollars a year. You can make, $500,000 a year. You can make as low as $50,000 a year. It's all up to you. You're going to get the opportunities to do it. Take the opportunities, learn, grow, and always be a student to learning. And you'll be able to get there in no time as a person who's done it and consistently does it, guys. So wanted to leave this video with you guys. Hope you like the content. Do me a favor, if you have any comments on any of the points that I've made in this video, leave me a comment in the comment section of this video. Also, if you like this sort of content, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to be alerted when I drop that new content. And until next time, y'all, peace.